Good morning. This lesson is for my Honors Integrated 1. This is the finishing of 6.1. I'm going to talk about Goal 3 and Goal 4. Goal 3, just to remind you, is to simplify these equations. Goal 3 is to write these equations in slope-intercept form. And we're going to start off with a slope and a point. That's one kind of question I can ask you. Our second goal is to write the equation in slope-intercept form if I tell you 2 points. And then our fourth goal is to graph the lines in slope-intercept form. So let me just highlight what I've added since the lesson ended, and hopefully we can see this. I added a little table right here. And in this table, I'm highlighting where the numbers for our formula come from. So this is our first x value, this is our first y value. How I go from my first x to my next x, it doesn't have to be the second, just the next one. That's my change in x. And how I go from this y to the next y, that's my change in y. So I'm going to do an example where I give you the slope and a point, and I want you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. And remember, we simplify this, and that puts it in slope-intercept form. Now, I'm not doing an example where this is a nice whole number, because we've actually already seen that. You plug it in, and you simplify it, and you're done. So I decided to do the example with a fraction, and I want to show you how we deal with this. So let me put the numbers where they go in our formula. So it's f of x equals my first y value. So actually, let me make the table out of this. Let me rewind and do that better. Do this better. Let me make the table for this problem. So you can see that we're still using the same concept. So there's my ordered pair, 3 and 5. My change in y is the 2, remember? Because it's the rise, so it's 2. And my change in x is going to be, I'm not very good at drawing arrows, it's going to be 3. Okay, so my first x is 3, my first y is 5, my change in y is 2, and my change in x is 3. All right, so I'm going to plug everything in. F of x equals my first y value, which is 5, and then I'm going to add that to my change in y divided by my change in x. Then it's x plus the opposite of the first x, so that's minus 3. And let me make sure that I'm on... Everything is on the whiteboard. Oh, I've got plenty of space. Okay. So now, what I'm going to do is, I know that some of you guys aren't going to like the fraction, so let's get rid of the fraction and let's use that one step that we saw. When we saw, we can actually eliminate the fractions here by multiplying everybody by the denominator. This will cancel out, and I'm now left with, 3 f of x equals 15 plus 2 x minus 3. This is considered one number, so I only needed 1 3. So now I can actually go about simplifying this. So here we go. So I get 15 plus 2x minus 6. This becomes 2x plus, let's see, 15 minus 6, that's 9. Remember, this is equal to 3 f's of x. So to finish this out, it's very simple. We just divide away the fraction, or divide away the 3, and we get our equation being f of x. And I'm sorry, I'm really running out of room. This room is so tiny to work out of. F of x equals 2 over 3 x plus 3. That is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form when I've given a slope and a point. And remember, I put it into my table format, and then I plugged it in where it went. I eliminated the fraction, simplified the right side, brought back the fraction when I was done. All right, so I'm going to check this off that we are done with this, and I'm going to move on to showing you what to do when we have 2 points. Okay, so let's see here. It's just getting a little bit more difficult because, again, I have no room. So let me just erase all of this. Okay. I want the equation of the line passing through the following 2 points. So passing through we'll say 3 and 7. And 5 and 2. Okay. It doesn't matter which point we put on the top. It really doesn't. So my x and my f of x. And so we go, let's see here, 5 and 2. And 3 and 7. Okay, so here we go. So 5 turns into 3 by subtracting 2. 2 turns into 7 by adding 5. Now I can put everything into my formula, okay? And I get f of x equals my first y value plus my change in y over my change in x. So this becomes 5 over negative 2. And then we have x plus the opposite of my first, so it's going to be x minus 5. That's my first. Okay. So what I would do here is I would take the negative and I would put it up with the 5. So we have a negative 5 right there. And I'm just doing that so I'm not multiplying everybody by negative 2. You're allowed to do that. So again, I'm going to multiply everybody by the denominator. And this only gets one denominator because this is considered one number. The 2's cancel. And I now have 2f of x's equal to 4 minus 5 times x minus 5. Let's pass this out. And I get 4 minus 5x plus 25, which gets me to 2f of x equals to minus 5x plus 29. And I divide away the 2. And I have my equation in slope-intercept form. Let me draw better too. I really have no room here. So let's see here. My equation in slope-intercept form is f of x equals negative 5 over 2x plus 29 over 2. And again, this is how I write the equation with 2 points. And see, notice that I basically turned it into this problem. So we're not doing very much new. The only thing I think you'll have a problem with that might trip you up is if we have to eliminate a fraction but multiply everyone by the denominator and you've gotten rid of it. So I'm going to check off the third goal here, writing equations in slope-intercept form with a slope and a point and 2 points. Now for 6.2, writing stuff in point slope form, right here all you would do is you just subtract 2 to the other side and you're done. Don't even care about the fraction as or the slope as a decimal or as a fraction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to move on to the last goal, and that's graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. Graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Okay, fourth goal. Graphing lines in slope-intercept form. So when we have a line in slope-intercept form, it's f of x equals mx plus b. M is our slope. And this is how we move to next point. And this is my y-intercept. And this is where we begin on the y-axis. Okay? So there's really not much to do here. You just find this value on the y-axis, use your slope to move to the next point. Now, a couple things that could be tricky with slope. Just some ideas about fractions. If you're given a negative fraction, like negative a over b, make the a negative. Keep the b positive. Or make the a positive and make the b negative. Remember the number up top, that's your rise. So if it's positive, you're rising up. If it's negative, you're rising down. Your denominator is your run number. If it's positive, you're running to the right. If it's negative, you're running to the left. And then the other thing that you might need to be aware of is if you have a number, a slope, and it's just a number, you can turn it into a fraction by putting a 1 under it. So your run would be 1. Okay, so that's something I think we might get a little tricked up on, but again, I feel like I'm rushing, so hit pause so you can copy this down. Alrighty, here we go. So I'm going to ask you to graph something like graph f of x is 2x plus 3. Well, my m, or how I move, is 2. But I need a fraction, so it's 2 over 1. Remember, I'm going to rise 2, I'm going to run 1. And I begin at 3 on the y-axis. So let me show you how you graph. So here's my graph. 1, 2, 3. That's where I begin on my y-axis. And I move up 2 and I move over 1. And I connect the dots. That's me graphing a line in slope-intercept form. That's literally it. You begin at the y-intercept and you move to your next point using the slope. So that would be one example. I'll do one more example. Let's graph f of x equals -2 thirds x minus 4. I should pick a better one, but that's okay. So I move, my slope, I'm going to put the negative with the 2, and I begin at -4 on the y-axis. So the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where I begin. I'm going to move down 2 because it's negative, and I'm going to move right 3 because it's positive. So I'm going to go down 2, and then I'm going to go right 3. So this is my next point, and I connect the dots, and I have graphed my equation. You know, one more thing that just dawned on me. If your equation just has an x, call it 1x, or 1 over 1x. And if your equation has a negative x, call that -1 over 1x. And you should be able now to graph everything that you're asked to do. So again, I covered writing equations in slope-intercept form. We just plugged it into our formula. Sometimes we have to eliminate a fraction. I also talked about the two types of problems when I give you a slope and a point, or with 2 points. And I also talked about graphing. So hopefully this is clear to you guys. And again, remember how to do 6.2. I hope everyone has a good day. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.